Welcome to Food for Thought, a series where we reflect on the ideas, concepts, and common threads of Last Meal with Tom Nash. Okay, so I've now cooked over 28 last meals, I think. And from season 1, at least, here are my top 3 weirdest last meals. Coming in at number 3, Taryn Southern. Taryn, your last meal is...
Macaroni and cheese. It looks so good.
It is specifically Kraft.
That's right.
Mac
Very
and cheese.
specific.
Yeah.
It has to be Kraft, otherwise it doesn't count.
So what does this remind you of?
It's the first memory I have as a kid of just food that I loved. I probably ate it at least 3 times a week. My dad was not a cook, so whenever my mom was working nights, his go-to was Kraft macaroni and cheese. And so I feel like if I was going to have a last meal, why not have it mirror some of my earliest memories?
Yes.
Close it out with nostalgia.
Mac and cheese is a very strange thing to order as a last meal. And not just mac and cheese itself, but Kraft mac and cheese. I think there are so many different and fantastic variations of mac and cheese. It's a brilliant dish. Different types of cheeses can be used, Gruyere, crusting tops, all sorts of different pastas. But the Kraft one, I mean, I understand that there was a sort of family element to it. There was something that her dad used to make her when she was a kid. And I think that's really the reasoning behind it. And the fact that she can't really eat it anymore isn't supposed to because of a health condition. But yeah, to me, that's a very strange mac and cheese. Not throwing any shade, Taryn, but that's a weird choice. Okay, coming in at number 2, Nick Gillespie. Nick Gillespie, your last meal is a collection of low-carb, ketogenic food substances.
There it is. Oh, it's so beautiful. Fragrant. I hear the Quest frosted cookies, artificial strawberry flavor, low-carb brownies, which are almost as good as real brownies, Quest bars that are genetically engineered in laboratories somewhere, in factories, actually. What I love about these food-like substances is that they are made by man for man. They're formulated. And I am a Promethean. I love the idea of, Prometheus taking fire from the gods and us becoming gods, not becoming arrogant gods, but realizing that we are in charge of who we are, what we do with our lives, how we make the planet, how we leave the planet. It is up to the individual, and it's up to communities and societies and groups of people to create the worlds that they want to live in. So it's about taking the Enlightenment seriously, subjective value seriously, and figuring out how do we create a more interesting, more prosperous, more peaceful world.
It's no surprise that Nick is one of my favorite individuals on this planet, but his choice of last meal almost drove me crazy. I couldn't believe that someone would pick these disgusting protein bars as their last meal. But his reasoning behind it was hilarious, like everything is that he does, that he loves things that are man-made. And this was the perfect iteration of that. It was the perfect homage to that idea, something that Nick lives by day to day. Funny story, actually. I went for lunch with Nick in Manhattan a couple of months back. And this time I came to his place and I was like, I'll meet you wherever you like. And he pointed me towards this place called the Waverly Diner. I'd never heard of it. It was somewhere in the village. I'd never heard of it because apparently, as he said, it was the worst diner in the Eastern time zone. He was absolutely not wrong. This is one of these places with 50,000 menu items, so you know that they do everything real well. But it just harked back to this old school type 90s New York, maybe even 80s. It reminded me a lot of the diner that they go to in Seinfeld, Monks or whatever it is. And it just shows as well that sometimes going to a place isn't about the food, but it's about the surroundings and it's about the nostalgia and it's about its ability to transport you and make you have a completely different experience, which I did having lunch with Nick and which anyone having lunch with Nick will have. But yeah, Quest bars, I mean, no. No. He knows no as well, he knows. Okay, my number 1 weirdest last meal has to be Ayla.
String cheese.
Holy shit. That's beautiful.
You didn't request the edible flowers, but we thought we'd zhuzh it up a bit.
The plating, yeah, it's important.
And there's some spinach on there too. I knew you wouldn't probably eat that, but
I mean, I could try to be polite.
can you tell me why you selected string cheese as your last meal?
I don't really know what I would like better. I'm not a big food person, possibly due to digestive issues where like eating is often associated with quite a bit of pain. So I've never really gotten into food, and like most food is kind of unpleasant like later on in my body to eat. But string cheese is pretty inoffensive, and I love the way it tastes, and I feel like I can eat a lot of it without feeling bad, either like emotionally or physically. And also my friends all know that I like it, so sometimes they'll just give me string cheese gifts, like, oh, yeah, let's come over, let's make sure we have some string cheese, and then I feel really cared for.
String cheese. Are you serious? Okay. I totally get it, and I understand why it pairs with her, and it's the one thing that is emblematic of her as a person, and it's really sweet that her friends would know that about her. Actually, weird side note, I met someone at a conference back in New York a year ago who knew Ayla and used to work with her, and I told her that we were shooting her for last meal, and she said, "Can I guess what the meal is?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, good luck." And she said, "String cheese." I was actually blown away. So Ayla is not kidding. This food is completely emblematic of her. But to be honest, I didn't even know what string cheese was until I was set with the task of preparing this for her last meal. The funny thing about it is just low moisture mozzarella masquerading as its own weird product. I don't know, if I'm being honest, maybe I was just pissed off that I didn't get to prepare anything. Like maybe I'm projecting. I said, like, how do we make string cheese look good? Also, Ayla was the only person in season 1 that actually started eating her meal while we were talking. Not that I have a problem with that. I didn't encourage or discourage it. But I guess that's kind of the girl that Ayla is. She just jumps right into things. And that's what we like here at Last Meal. So those were my 3 weirdest meals from season 1. However, I do have an honourable mention, and that is Dan Ariely.
Alligator.
Mm-hmm. First time.
Tell me why you selected alligator.
So it was not my first choice. My first choice was
Fugu.
fugu. And I took the task very seriously. I said, what would I want from my last meal? And some people, I'm guessing, want to relive things they've done before. I said I want to do something that I've avoided so far, and fugu is very dangerous. If you do it in the hands of the wrong person.
Yeah, or the hooks of the wrong person.
That's right. And in your case, I thought, what a trust, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a tremendous trust to trust somebody.
Yeah, it could indeed be your last meal.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I thought that I wanted to do something that I have never done before, and I have some hesitation about. So I went into the fugu direction, and then I thought about other type of meats that I never had, and we sorted out on alligator. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's an unbelievable animal. I don't eat that much meat anyway. So anyway, it's something that I feel like I look at it and I'm imagining a real alligator.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I do want to try. I want to challenge myself.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing I think that speaks to your character is that so far you're the only person who's selected something that they think they probably wouldn't like, but it's a new experience.
Yeah.
Tell me about the idea of trying new experiences that, you think you would like to do before you die. Also, what also is the philosophy of trying new experiences? Do you think that is part of a well-lived life?
Very much, very much. So I think that in fact, most of us live a life that is too timid.
Now, the thing that I hated about Dan's meal is that it tasted like crap. We both tried it afterwards, and I tried it in the preparation of it, and I was like, oh, this is a bit, I don't know about that. And it was pretty bad. And so we tried to plate it and make it look good, and I think it was like a sweet potato puree that we put under it or something like that. But the alligator tasted like crap. When I was researching the meal, a lot of people actually deep fry it. And now I can tell why, because it's not a fantastic protein. It was a little bit chewy. I think I oversalted it too much because I dry brined it. Somehow I thought that would give it more moisture, but I think the pieces were too small for that to have any effect. So it was terrible. The thing that I loved about Dan's choice of alligator for last meal is how he is adventurous to the bitter end.
We wake up every day and we think about the gambles that life gives us every day. And every day we think just about that gamble. And every day we say, oh, not worth it. But if we think at a life worth lived, I think it's a life that we try many more things. I think the expected value of gambling in life is positive. But we don't do enough of it. We don't do enough of it. So I think we live a life that is too timid. I think it's true in terms of our profession. And I think it's true in terms of the way we have our romantic life. And it's true in terms of our hobbies and the way we spend our time. And a lot of things like that. And basically trying more things is kind of the key to happiness.
Like, what he actually wants is on his deathbed, or when the asteroid is coming down to hit Earth, is to try something different that he's never had before. I don't think I've had anyone on Last Meal that has ever said that before, and I've never encountered that as an answer to the question, if the world were ending tomorrow, what would your last meal be? Literally nobody thinks like Dan Ariely. If you haven't seen his episode, definitely watch it because, as I said, no one thinks like Dan Ariely. Anyway, those were my 3 weirdest last meals from season 1. If you decide on what meal from season 1 was weirder for you, please let us know about it. We'd love to get a sample of what you care about, even if it's nothing. We'll see you in the next one, if I make it. And that's all from me.